Well, we live in a world where design is more relevant than ever. Essentially, it's so important to focus on people simply because the barrier to entry of corporations and brands, big and small, are not there anymore. Anybody can come up with an idea, get easily access to funding, the cost of manufacturing is going down, you can go straight to consumers through e-commerce, and you can build your ecosystem of communication through social media. And so all these areas where the brands, big and small, were building their protection, their barrier to entry, are down, and therefore anybody can compete with any other brand. So if you are running a brand, big or small, it's so important to really create something extraordinary from any standpoint, from product to packaging to experience, all the way to logistics and manufacturing. Else somebody else will do it for you. It will attack you exactly in your area of weakness. And so this is where design plays a very, very important role. Creating something, focusing on people, leveraging the tools of the design community, and creating products, experiences and stories that are extraordinary. Well, we live in a world that is changing at the speed of light. And so it's very important to have a preparation and a mindset that is as flexible and as broad as possible. You need to understand how to be creative, but in the meantime, how to be also business savvy. You need to have a very high EQ and empathy to bring people with you. It's not the world of the one-man show anymore. It's important to have curiosity, to really keep learning all the time in your life. Learning doesn't finish at school. It's important to be resilient and optimistic, because if you're really changing, you will face so many roadblocks, and it's important to have a very positive view of what you're doing, of the world, every time to face those kind of difficulties that you will meet. It's important to listen to people without arrogance. So many times you reach a certain level of success and you start to close yourself in your arrogance of your success. Instead, it's important to listen, because we need to keep growing and learning all the time. But in the meantime, it's also important to stop at a certain point, stop listening and take action. To avoid to be paralyzed by this analysis and not being able to really change things. So it's a mix of characteristics that we need to have as young entrepreneurs and as older ones to really adapt to a society that is changing at the speed of light like never before. Curiosity and flexibility. We need curiosity and flexibility to change things. We need the flexibility of adapting to a society that is changing, to business models that are changing, and therefore there is no way that you study something at school and the world you will work on in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years will be exactly what you study at school. So you need to keep learning, and you need to keep adapting, and you need to have the mindset to do so. That's really what education should give to the new generations, this ability to adapt and flex. Curiosity is all linked to this idea of learning, continuing learning. Curiosity pushes you to listen to people, to talk to people, to read books, to travel, to look at reality with different eyes, with the eyes of a kid, with the eyes always wondering and surprised. Essentially, Hegel, the philosopher Hegel, was talking about the difference between awareness and real knowledge. We are aware of everything that surrounds us, and we think we know it. In reality, we don't know anything. So stop and look at things you are aware of with different eyes to really understand them. That's where innovation comes from, because you will understand things in a different way. You start having different kind of point of views and perspectives. Start with a respectful eye for anything that you eventually don't understand. Look at new cultures, different people, not with fear, but with respect, to really deeply understand them. With that curiosity, we go back again to this idea, that will give you the possibility to keep learning, growing, and finally leveraging the learning to change the world in a positive way. I think Misk is doing a great work to empower new generations of people, prepare them, educate them, invest in them, both in Saudi, in the country, as well as around the world, supporting them in studying abroad and connecting with different cultures. I think it's so important today to understand what is your unique point of view in a country, in a culture, in a region of the world, and you want to leverage it, but you also need to understand how to enter in a dialogue with different cultures and different regions of the world, different people, different way of behaving and thinking, with mutual respect. I think there is an opportunity unbelievable for countries that are starting to play on the global stage, like Saudi and like many others in other parts of the world, to enter this global stage with a unique, exciting, ownable point of view. And it's so important for these people, the new entrepreneurs, to understand the global scenario, understand how to interact with them. So Misk, by supporting them, educating them, and funding their development, is doing a phenomenal work, not just for them, but also for the world. Because at the end of the day, diversity and variety of thinking is essential for any culture. So the more we have different cultures getting into other cultures and talking to each other, the more we enrich the entire planet.